Hello and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Today is Tuesday, and it is How to Tarot Tuesday. And what this is it is a weekly series where every week I pull one card from the 78 card tarot, and we talk about the symbolism in the card. And then I choose from 3 different tarot decks what I think represents the best representation of that tarot card, the one that we're talking about. And then after we go through the symbolism, I would go ahead and let you choose the deck of your choice, and we'll go ahead and ask the question, how does that card manifest in your life right now? This week we are still in the Major Arcana, and this week we have a very wonderful card. It is card 17, which is one of my favorites, and it is the Star. Now, if you would like to skip the discussion about the card's meaning and go straight to your reading, the timestamps are in the description box below. Again, you can come across this reading at any time. It is what we refer to as a universal reading. So if you come across this video and feel like it's kind of calling to you, or you feel like drawn to it, go ahead and pick a deck, or you could watch all 3 decks if you want, and there's usually tends to be a message in the reading for you. But I'll go ahead and get started. And what it is that of the 3 decks, I always start with the Rider-Waite-Smith. That's always going to be the first card that is depicted. It is the traditionally used image of the star for most tarot readers. And what it is that the star is a symbol of such hope. I was actually participating in the 31 Days of Tarot this month, which is it's an annual blog sprint where every day throughout the month of January you answer a question related to tarot. And what I did not realize is I knew that I was going to participate in the sprint, but I did not realize that, I was going to continue posting videos for my How to Tarot series. And I did not look at the schedule to realize that in January, we were going to talk about some really heavy cards. Like at the end of December, before the sprint began, we talked about death. And then in January, it's 2 weeks back to back. We talked about the devil and we talked about the tower. And I was like, oh my goodness, like they're the 3 most feared cards, and they're the heaviest cards. And I was like, oh gosh, I did not look at my day planner. I did not anticipate. And I was so excited when I saw, and again, we only have one more week left of the sprint, but I looked at it and I was like, oh, thank goodness, here comes the star. The star follows the tower. And it is just like when you see it on your calendar and you go, oh, here comes the star. That is the same feeling that you get when you look at the star card. The star card depicts a naked woman, and she is pouring water into a pond and also pouring water on the ground. Above her, there is one central star that is very large, and it is seen to be like kind of the North Star. And then around it are 7 other smaller stars. In the background, you have a tree that has kind of a bird. And in the distance, you see what kind of looks like mountains. Now, what it is that mountains in a lot of symbolism, a mountain means challenge. It means, obstacle. And when you look at it, water both means emotion, but it also means the cleansing of something, right? And earth or ground always means grounding. It means, having the earth firmly beneath your feet. And then, the naked woman really kind of depicts a vulnerability, right? It kind of means that you, almost like being a baby, like being naked to the world. If you think of it from a dream interpretation, it means just kind of starting anew, starting afresh, not having, it's almost as if you are brand new and re-exposed to everything. It's like everything is remade anew. And then, you know, when I see birds or small birds, I always see it as being kind of a sign of communication and a message. And the fact that this is a peaceful bird and they're kind of stationed, it makes me think of hope. It makes me think of good news. Also in Lenormand, when you look at the birds, it also, the storks in between, in particularly, which this bird with the longer beak kind of looks like a stork, but it means movement. Now, what it is what she's pouring very placid waters. So it also kind of looks like the water bearer, which is a little bit of the symbol of Aquarius. And if you watched my How to Tarot about the tower is a little bit, we talked about how the tower is a little bit of a Aquarius energy. In a lot of decks, it's depicted to mean to be Mars energy or Aries, because it means, you know, which usually means kind of sudden action. But I always just thought that Aquarius, you know, it means change. Aquarius energy is very much prominent in a lot of movements. I kind of think of it almost generationally, from the change in the 50s to the change in the 60s. You could even see it kind of socially when you kind of went from kind of the father's knows best kind of culture, and then later there was a lot of rebellion, there was a lot of social upheaval, but from that social upheaval came a lot of positive change, a lot of change that made things equal. And when you see that water, you see that emotional balance between the two things. I just really think that the star comes after the tower, in the sense that after the storm has blown through, you're assessing the damage, but you are almost like naked in the fact that you have a clean slate, right? If you look at the ground, the water that she's pouring is sprouting new growth, right? And the mountain is behind her. And it's almost as if she's been following this star, like the North Star in the sky. So with that meaning, it really means, it means the biggest meaning of the star is hope. It means that there's no place to go but forward now. And now that the smoke is cleared, there is a future. You can see where you're going, right? And it's also believing that, you know, there's an end, there's a positive future for you. So it just gives a sense of comfort in the way that it makes you see that things are quiet, right? There's no more turmoil, there's no more upheaval. And it really kind of gives you strength, and it gives you motivation. It makes you think that, okay, you know, now that the storm is past, what can I do? What action can I take now? How can I start on this foundation and begin anew? And it's kind of that spark of an answer. It is like looking up in the sky and seeing that star and saying, you know, have you ever been camping? There's a beautiful new tarot deck that's coming out that I just ordered that you'll see in the future on this channel. And the depiction of the star looks like trees, like it looks like you're laying out in a forest and looking up as if you're camping, like you see the trees around you, but then you see the star above. The beautiful thing about that image, and that's very much plays into the meaning, is like, you ever feel like so much has been happening to you, but then when you look up at the North Star, you realize that you are a part of something much bigger, right? And it isn't to say that your problems are small, but it's just to say that everything's going to be okay, that there's a divine order to what's going on. Now, this is the Everyday Tarot, and in a little while when I go to do the reads, I'll let you know. It was a really tough decision to choose which stars, which images. It really was. I had probably about 5 different decks laying out, and I'm like, oh gosh, which one do I choose? Which one do I choose? I even really wanted to choose the new one, that image that I was just describing, but it hasn't arrived yet, right? But it's kind of like seeing a way clear. And I love this depiction because it's a little bit more simplistic, but in its lines, it keeps all of the symbols. You have the mountain in the background, you have the land on one side, you have the water on the other, and the water is flowing equally, and you have that North Star, and you can see the star shining in her hair too, right? And hair is usually a sign of ego, it's a sign of self, and when you see the stars reflected in your hair, it's almost like you're taking on that higher hope or sense of purpose onto yourself, into your own being, and you're almost in tune or in tandem with the promise of a better future, which is the symphony of the universe, right? Which I know sounds really fantastical. How to express that better? When you look at the sky, the star in the sky, and you know that as a human being on this earth, you are made up of the same things, the same material, the same gases, the same elements as the universe, as the space, as the star, as the moon. All of those elements make up you. So when you go through these traumatic moments in your life, just know that out in space, if you've ever seen planets get hit by meteors or planets collide, it's almost like a part of a grander scheme. It's almost a part of things, and you kind of know your path. You're following your path. Now the star can also, it gives you a sense, and by knowing that you're on the path, also, the North Star is what sailors navigate by, right? And when you navigate to the star, when you look at the star and plot your course, it gives you a sense not only as if you were following your path, but it also gives you a sense of peace. The star is very serene in the fact that it relaxes you. It gives you peace of mind. It kind of provides you with that calm after a really harsh time. Either that, or it just reminds you that even if you feel unnerved, or if you feel scared, or if you feel lost, that you will find your way, or that there is hope in this situation. Now, the last deck that I kind of went with was the Tarot of Jane Austen, which I know you've seen me use. And what this is a scene from Sense and Sensibility. It is when Marianne Dashwood gets sick from being out in the cold, and everyone, she's with the doctor, and she has a really rough night where they're really not sure if she's going to make it. And everyone is looking up at the star, and wondering if, just kind of praying, they're wishing on a star, right? But there is something about looking up at that star and just knowing that everything's going to be okay. Now, the other thing is, when you see all these people, I love how she has such a village around her. She has people who care about her health, and these are the people who are truest to her. And sometimes also, when you've just come through the tower and you're looking at the star, those are usually the times that kind of prove who's your tribe, right? The people who are there for you in adversity, the ones who are really there for you and caring about, your health and being there for you. The people who are under your star, that really, it's, in that sense, it's where the star can really mean, the opening of a heart. It means, the star can mean about giving freely. And that's another thing about the pouring of the water. Again, we said that water is like emotion. When you give your heart freely, it's about being altruistic, which is also an Aquarian concept. But it's kind of giving back what you received. You can kind of see that she's kind of pouring on the land and pouring on the, in the ocean. So it's kind of like a pay it forward as well. But it's what's so calming about it is that the star is not necessarily a card about having all the answers. It's not that everything's set in stone. You don't know exactly how you're going to rebuild. You don't know exactly how the future is going to turn out. But you do know that it's going to be a good solution, right? It's going to be the solution you need. And again, with the star being celestial, being up in the sky. And again, like we talked about, you know, when you watch these videos about how stars are formed or how planets are created, they went through, just like a volcano, they go through this period of great turmoil, of great chaos. And then after that chaos, something beautiful is born. And that's where it is very apt that the star comes after all these scary cards. It comes after death, it comes after the devil, it comes after the tower, because it means that you have gone through the valley, right? And you are still on the journey. You haven't reached your destination yet, but your journey is plentiful. It's going to give you everything you need, and you are, I think it's also a sign that you're on the right path. And, you know, and that it also kind of gives you a divine guidance. It kind of just makes you feel like everything that happened may have served a purpose, and you are now on your way to better things. But my favorite part about the star is that, you know, sometimes you can throw some really tough looking cards, right? And the moment that you pull the star after it means that there's a method to the madness, right? It means that there's a greater purpose. And by you going through that, by you going through the turmoil, you're serving that greater purpose. But, so, you know, so that is the star in upright. Now, when you look at the star in reverse, you know, the star is one of those things. There's a few cards that, you know, it's funny, there's a few cards in tarot, all of them pretty much majors, that even if you turn it upside down, even if it's in the reverse or in the inverse, they're still positive, right? Like the sun. The sun is one of those that you just can't dim its light. So usually when you see the star in reverse, and the star is one of those, it's one of those just so, it's the power of it just can't be dimmed. But it can be delayed, right? So when you see the star in reverse, it usually means that there is a positive end to your situation. It just might take a little bit of time, or either that, or maybe you're not seeing it, right? Sometimes when the star is in reverse, it means that you have a lot of abundance, or that there are positives in your situation, but you might just be bogged down with the negative that you're not really acknowledging or not able to see it, you know, what's good. Sometimes it usually means a delay of something, you know, of the peaceful solution. And lastly, it usually just means that it sometimes can mean unfulfilled hopes. Sometimes when we start planning, we get a little ahead of ourselves, and you might have expected an outcome that didn't quite manifest. And that can sometimes be the meaning of the star in reverse. Alternatively, it can also, you know, it can mean a missed opportunity. Like maybe you were, you know, going towards something and some action kind of derailed or took you in a different direction and took you away from that hope. It can be disappointment. Maybe, you know, something or someone, you know, promised you something, or you had hoped for something and that did not come through. And lastly, it can mean kind of a fleeting hope. Maybe you're looking at a situation and asking, okay, is this going to work out? But you're losing faith. That can definitely mean, you know, the star in reverse. But most of the time it is just, the other nice meaning that I have that I think is great is that, which kind of falls in line with more of a delayed result versus, you know, you not getting what you want. But it can also mean that it is just kind of an unjustified pessimism, meaning that you're questioning, you're thinking, okay, this isn't going to happen, right? This can't possibly happen, but it's going to happen anyway. And because it's the star, and it's where you're meant to go. And that's probably that's probably my favorite interpretation of the star in reverse. But okay, guys, so again, I mean, I know this is almost like a shorter description, but that's why the star is so wonderful. It's like we almost don't even have to talk about it all day long, because it's good. It just is what it is. It's fantastic, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause the reading a minute, and I'll let you choose your decks. I do ask that you go ahead and choose from your intuition if you like the artwork, or if you just kind of feel yourself being drawn to the card. Sometimes readers like to look at the timestamps. Maybe the numerology speaks to you. But I'll go ahead and give you a minute, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So we're going to go ahead, and the Rider-Waite-Smith. This is the first deck, Rider-Waite-Smith. It's the traditional meaning, traditional drawing of the card. And we're going to ask, we're just going to see, how is the star manifesting in your life? How does the star manifest for you right now? Ooh. And I'm just going to get one clarifier. Please clarify the Six of Pentacles. Thank you. All right, and I am kind of seeing the Six of Wands as well, guys. So in the first position, you got the Queen of Pentacles. So what that means is that could either be your energy, or it can be the energy of someone else. But in the past, you've either been dealing with a very practical woman, either that, or you've been very much in your nurturing, practical essence. And what this is this is someone who nurtures in a physical and practical way, meaning that, you know, the Queen of Pentacles is that wonderful, she is that mother type that knows how to balance a checkbook. She knows how to manage a household. She's very there in a financially balanced way, and she kind of helps you take care of your life. Like, she helps you with the practical, real world things of life. Maybe this is a family member or a spouse that has helped you buy a house, or has helped you fix up your house, or has taught you how to manage your finances. But if it's your energy, in the past, you've been the cornerstone of your household. You know, you take care of people. You've always been real practical and real good with your money. Either that, or you've been dealing, this person, the Queen of Pentacles, is someone who has helped you be practical, or help you get the physical, financial things in life. Now, the current energy is quite a lot, and this is right under, you see it's right under the star. But what it is you've got Judgment, which is another major card. You got the Two of Pentacles, and you got the Eight of Wands. Now, Judgment is that calling card. It's kind of the wake-up call. It's like saying, okay, you know, it does show people coming back from coffins, so it is kind of coming back from the dead. So this could be some type of relationship that may have been rekindled, but I'm seeing it more as you're being called. You know, in the past, you know, you've had certain financial responsibilities, either to others or to your spouse. And currently, you're being called to do something new. You're being called to do, again, the star is the everything's going to be okay. You're on your path. It's your internal compass of what you're meant to do. And I think that you're really following a calling, right? You're doing something that is you, and you're being drawn towards a future that's going to be what you want it to be. It's going to bring you to the goals that are important to you. But underneath that Judgment, so you're really being called, again, you're being called to do something different, to do something new, something liberating. And it's got quite an urgency to it. But what we have is we have the Two of Pentacles, which, again, we got those pentacles like we saw with the Queen. And behind it, you see waves with, you know, kind of a ship going up and down. And you got the Eight of Wands. So what I'm seeing is that again, I'm almost seeing the Two Pentacles as being, maybe in the past you kind of had certain financial obligations, and I see it I kind of get the feeling like it was associated to some kind of role that you had, either as a provider for your family, or, you know, as the nurturing, you know, person who took care of the finances. And currently with the Two of Pentacles, it means that you're juggling. It means that you're really, it's taking a lot of effort to keep your calling, you know, where the star is pointing you to go, and this old responsibility. It's almost like you want to go in a new direction. You want to go in a new direction, but you still have to handle these old priorities. But things are moving fast, right? I have a feeling like very soon you're going to be able to put that other pentacle down. You know, you're going to be able to put that other pentacle down, and then it's going to be full steam ahead towards your goal, or towards, you know, you can follow your star completely without any obligations. Now, in the future, where we see it going is that we see the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles is it's a very difficult, it can have a lot of meanings. It's a very complex card, but basically, you're definitely going to be, I do get the feeling as if you're the man, you know, you're the person. You could be a woman watching this reading. When I say man, I'm just using it as a descriptor from how the image looks on the card. But you see a man very well dressed holding the scale. And what he's doing is he's measuring how he's giving his finances to these two people. There are two other people here that are deserving. Now, he's currently giving coins to one of them, but the other one looks like he's waiting, right? So it's kind of like, it is kind of an indicator of how you divvy up your time or your resources, right? And again, you know, currently you're juggling too, right? And in the future, it really kind of looks like you're going to be, again, putting one of the pentacles down and really kind of giving your money over to, you're going to be prioritizing one obligation over the other. Now, the only thing is that, and again, if you get a chance to watch our How to Tarot, we just had a tarot on the tower last week. And the Rider-Waite-Smith Tower is always really scary looking. It's one of the more feared cards, especially in this deck. But it is kind of saying that what's happening is a foundation is crumbling, a faulty foundation, or a foundation that is no longer serving a purpose in your life. And that could be a relationship, it could be an actual building or structure. But I do see that currently you're juggling two things. And you very rapidly want to follow your own priorities. It isn't that you don't care about the other person that you've been in partnership with or that you've dealt with, or your other obligations. It's just you need it to be one obligation right now. You can't juggle two forever. You're getting exhausted with that, right? So you're finally going to make a very, you know, and again, the scales of justice. That's like the justice card, right? You're gonna choose what you give your time and resources to, and it's gonna be a resolute decision, and it's gonna be a fair one, right? But what you're going to do is you're going to give your time to what you want. And what that might do is, though, you know, it's not going to leave anybody out in the cold, but you are going to let any structures or any relationships that are meant to go, right? Because remember, the star follows the tower. So by you giving your concentration to one thing, by you giving your concentration to the goals that you want, you know, and there's pentacles in all three of these cards, so I'm getting a real strong sense that this is some kind of fiscal, some kind of financial obligation that you have. Either that, or I get the feeling like you want to go ahead and pay off. You want to go ahead and pay off the one obligation, so it's not doing this to you anymore, right? So it's not lingering and just crumbling around you. You want to go ahead and get this done and finished, so you can just kind of be free and look to the future with that positive outlook. But so guys, that's it. That's really quite powerful. And again, you know, the star is that positive. It is that compass. So, you know, just keep moving forward. Just, you know, be fair. Again, you saw the scales of justice there. Be fair in your dealings, but you know, you've got the star above you, so good things are on their way. It's where you're meant to be or where you're meant to go. So we'll go ahead and move on to deck number 2, which is the Everyday Tarot. And all of the names of the decks are in the description box below. But we're going to go ahead and let's just see, how does the star manifest in your life? Let's do this. How does the star manifest in your life right now? Can I get a clarifier for the 3 of Swords? Thank you. I'm just going to get a little bit of a clarifier for the 10 of Pentacles. Thank you. Wow. You saw that, right? That flipped. Thank you. I am going to leave this out here as a little bit of a descriptor, guys, just because these came out together, but I think that it was kind of coming out over the Wheel of Fortune there, underneath it. But in the past, guys, we have the 10 of Pentacles, and underneath it, or describing it, you saw that the Hermit flipped out in reverse. Now, the 10 of Pentacles is that very happy, financially stable home and family card. It shows a grandfather who is, he's got the cloak that looks almost like the King of Pentacles there, and you see 10 Pentacles and a tree and what looks like either a daughter and a grandchild and a dog. So that's the home stability kind of card. It's almost like that paying off your mortgage kind of stability where you've put structure into your life and you've really accomplished a lot. Now, describing it, we have the Hermit in the reverse. And the Hermit in the reverse means that it means a lot of solitude. It really means kind of a loneliness. It means that I think that you've attained a lot of stability in your life. Maybe you've reached all of your real world goals, or you're in a place where those goals are on track and you really are in a good place. You're feeling like that 10 of Pentacles. You're feeling like, okay, I'm where I want to be with this. But it's really kind of isolated you. It's kind of put you into a place where, you've kind of almost, you've acquired everything that you wanted, but it kind of came at a little bit of a price. You either had to reserve yourself to being this really kind of, this very isolated kind of character. Maybe you've had to kind of sacrifice some of the things that you believe to be right. Not in a weird way, but sometimes when you think about it, it's like, okay, if I want to pay off my car in 5 years, I really do have to give up buying coffee at the coffee shop every day, or I really need to, give up certain hobbies where I'm not spending as much money. And what that does is it kind of changes you, right? It changes your personality. It makes you, it kind of gives you a little bit of a lack of sense of self, right? It kind of makes you pull into yourself and feel like a different person. Either that, or the way that I kind of read that is sometimes when you get certain financial affluence, sometimes it comes at a cost, in the sense that maybe before you were at an entry-level position or job at your work, and then you really climbed the ranks and you got to a higher position. But as you got to a higher position, you really, you didn't have as much contact with the same people that you worked with when you were in the different position. And you really have to adhere to the behavior or the environment of someone in your position. But what that did is it isolated you, right? It's almost like you're conforming to sacrifice and to get that 10 of Pentacles, or to get, you know, that stability that you wanted. You know, the other thing that it really can mean is that sometimes when you have your sights on this, you can get so dead set on having it, like, okay, I'm gonna make this much money, I'm gonna pay off my house, I'm gonna do this, that really if somebody else tries to deter you or tries to say, okay, you know, you don't have to give up family time, or you don't have to, you know, you don't have to work long hours, but you won't hear it, right? You're like, no, this is, you know, it is a little bit of an Emperor energy, but more in a spiritual kind of sense. It's like, it's almost being kind of dogmatic in your beliefs about how you attain this. So that's the past. Now, the present, you got the feared Three of Swords, and I don't want you to be afraid. There are no bad cards in tarot. We always read them together. And believe it or not, you got it right next to a really positive card, so we're going to get into this. One other hint is that if you really want a good description of the Three of Swords, today is I did a post yesterday for the 31 Days of Tarot that had a great description, a new kind of epiphany that I had regarding the Three of Swords. But what it is that the Three of Swords is kind of that, it's definitely deemed as being the emotional pain kind of card. It's being afflicted. It's definitely, when you see it next to the Hermit, the first thing that I think of is extreme loneliness. I think of being cut off or separated. Again, you know, the Three Swords it's a third party situation, and a third party situation doesn't have to be a person. It can be a situation or something that's keeping you away from your happiness or deterring you. And when you have the Ten of Cups, I always say, you know, the Ten of Cups I always compare the Ten of Cups to the Ten of Pentacles as being that you see that in the Ten of Cups, this person's not wearing, you know, gilded robes. He's wearing very plain clothes, but and they have a plain house. They're not living in a mansion, but they're happy. The Ten of Cups is that emotional happiness that money can't buy. And when I see it come out under the Three of Swords, I'm thinking that that's what's eluding you. You feel lonely, you feel pain, you feel separation, and something is separating you. Something is causing that pain, and it's kind of feeling like a sacrifice. It's kind of feeling like something, you know, is making this pain, is kind of preventing you from your Ten of Cups. Now, again, this is right under the Star. And remember, the whole point of this reading is the Star is that there is hope in this situation, right? There's hope. So yes, you might be feeling, you know, like, you know, the other thing is that it is possible that maybe this is a painful disappointment. Maybe you felt like you were going into this stable situation and it was going to promise you this, but you're in the middle of the situation, you've done the work, but it's not giving you this grand vision. It's giving you a feeling of separation. It's almost that it's like a realization that, not that you got gypped, it's just that maybe this what you went into didn't turn out to be what you thought it was going to be, and it is making you feel like this is eluding you, like you haven't found it yet, or you're still not getting this. Now again, it's right under the Star, and the Star is the sign of hope. It means that, you know, there's a reason for this. There's a reason for this situation, and it's going to get better, right? The storm is passing. Now, moving forward, I think you got the most amazing card moving forward, because these are the Stars and Major Arcana. You got the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune and the Star are both a sign of divine intervention. It's the sign of divine intervention. And actually, I totally missed that in the description of the Star. I hope you watched the video throughout. When you see the Star kind of winking at you, you almost feel like the universe is like, okay, it is like a wink, it's going to be okay. So what you got is you got the Wheel of Fortune upright, And the Wheel of Fortune, you got the 4 corners that represent the 4 fixed signs. You got Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. And the fixed signs are the doers. They're the people who complete tasks. They get things done. So the Wheel of Fortune is telling you that the wheel is turning in your favor. There is going to be an event. So all of this separation and loneliness and isolation that you're feeling, and whatever situation you got into that you feel has caused this separation, the wheel is turning, right? This situation is kind of teaching a lesson, but that lesson is passing, and divine intervention, the wheel's going to turn, and things are going to get way better. You're actually probably going to have kind of a windfall moment that really is going to show you what all of this experience was about. Now, the one thing is, when I kind of went to clarify the wheel, I kind of got a story. I got like a whole story, y'all. So I definitely got people. I got a whole spread of people here. You got the Queen of Wands, you got the 2 of Pentacles, you got the Queen of Pentacles, and you got the Knight of Pentacles. So definitely I'm seeing a whole squad here. Now, the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands, they could be 2 counterparts. Either that, or this could be, if this is like a third party situation, these might be 2 women. And again, you don't have to be a woman watching this reading, or you don't have to be a man watching this reading, but this might be 2 women that you're dealing with. And it might be two financial responsibilities that you're juggling. And one of the women might be the Queen of Wands, who is a very dynamic character. She's very creative. I always refer to it as kind of the movie star card. She's usually quite beautiful and very attractive. And she's also quite spiritual. She's usually very mystical, and you're very attracted to her. The other one is the Queen of Pentacles, who is a very practical queen. She's usually she nurtures in a very practical way, and she makes sure everything's taken care of, and she's a very caring person. Now, beyond her, you have the Knight of Pentacles, who is a slow-moving knight. He's not a king, but he's a slow-moving knight, and it's almost as if again, if this could be a family situation, you could be either the Queen of Wands or the Queen of Pentacles, and maybe you and either another family member or a friend might be dealing with some financial things that require a lot of balance. Right? Require a lot of balance. But what this tells me is that if that's the scenario, the last card is the Knight of Pentacles, which means he's the slowest moving knight, but he gets where he's going. And that he's carrying a pentacle, which means that it's financial. So I do think that the Wheel of Fortune might be that you and either a friend or a family member or someone that you're dealing with, that you're partnered with, have been juggling. It's like, the other thing is that it means that money's been up and down, right? And again, you could be a man watching this, and you might be dealing with 2 family members, one who's more of a Queen of Pentacles temperament, real good, real money-minded, practical, and then one who's more exuberant, more energetic. But just know that with the Wheel of Fortune and this situation, you are making progress. It's very slow progress, but things are about to get very much better. Things are about to get much better. And the great thing about the Knight is that when he gets to his destination, it's a very firm foundation, and the Queen of Pentacles too. She's a very solid character. So I do think that there's going to be a very good outcome to this. Very good outcome. But wow, guys, and definitely if this is more of a loneliness kind of thing, I would say that if you are feeling kind of separated, there's a lot of little things that you can do. I always say that, in this day and age with all of our technological advances, we suffer from a an epidemic of loneliness. It's really quite proven. I've just read a study the other day that talked about how millennials are, they feel the most lonely at work. Like 87% feel lonely or not really sociable at work. So also, you know, at home, you know, everything's so, you know, text messages, and, you know, you never see anybody face to face. We hardly have any real interaction with anyone. And they say, and it's kind of proven, that you really need to see someone's face and you need to hear someone's voice. So I think the beauty of these cards, also the fact that I read cards and that you might not always see my face, but you do always hear my voice. So, and that is, it's like talking to a friend. So that is one thing that I love about what I do, is that I get to be, you get to, the readers that I listen to, they get to be a friend to me, and I get to be a friend to you. But also in addition to that, if you do want to call a family member or call a friend, hear their voice, or even better, if you can FaceTime, if you can see someone's face and hear their voice, it goes a long way. It's like those levels in your brain just know that you're seeing someone face to face, even if it's, you know, on a computer screen, because that's how we operate now, right? But do take those measures. Also, you know, if you find yourself, like, believe me, I completely understand. I have the weekends where I'm really not motivated because I work really hard and I get really tired and I don't feel like doing anything. But try to get out and go out with your friends. Go out with your friends, go out with your family, meet someone for coffee, you know, even if you're feeling a little meh and, you know, if you kind of have to shoehorn yourself out of bed, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it, because I promise you, if you are experiencing any type of loneliness like that, it does help. And I hope it gets better, truly. All right, enough gum flapping. Let's go ahead. Deck number 3. You have one of my favorite decks. It is the Tarot of Jane Austen. And like I said in the beginning of the video, if you caught it, oh my gosh, choosing the 3 stars was like choosing between my children. It was a really, really hard choice. And I actually, I splurged a little bit, and with my tax return, I ordered a deck. It hasn't come in yet, but you'll be seeing this deck soon, but as soon as it comes in, and it has one of the most beautiful stars. It has really pretty High Priestess too, so I'm gonna be fangirling over it soon enough, but this star in particular is one of my favorites, so it ranked, it came in and place number 3. All right, so deck number 3, how does the star manifest in your life? Let's find out. Deck number 3, how does the star, ooh, okay. Wow, guys. Okay, and just bear in mind that the Jane Austen Tarot is definitely, it has a more romantic feel because, of course, the subject matter is of that. So I was bearing that in mind. I'm like, okay, I'm subjecting deck number 3 to a love reading, but it is what it is. I like the star in this deck, so we're going to do it. Let's do it. And all right. You know what? I'm going to have to pull out the book for this, because the other thing is that I see the mast of ships in the background. But I think that's Fanny Price. I'm not sure. All right. We're going to pull out the book soon enough, but oop. Okay. We did have the Lovers flip out, but let me go ahead. Please clarify the 8. Please clarify the 8 of Teacups. Holy crap, guys. Again, I don't know. We keep having the 2 of Pentacles. The 2 of Pentacles. All right. In the future, please. What is the future energy for this deck? I think that might be dude with no muffler, but he's trying to be quiet, so I will give him a free pass. Sorry for the silence, guys. I'm just kind of taking this in. We got 4 cards, and I'm trying not to pull out the whole deck, but I am making note of the cards. So future, please. Let's just, oh Lord, I spoke too soon. Thank you, jerkface. All right, I'm gonna timestamp that one. All right, if you're not familiar, that is Dude with No Muffler. He drives the souped-up Camaro that is not street legal, and he likes to audio bomb. I'm sorry for the noise. I will timestamp his happy ass. All right, so this is your star. Deck number 3. I hope I can say ass on YouTube. In the past, I am getting kind of more of a romantic story. I'm getting a little bit more of a romantic story. But in the past, we have the Lady of Quills, which is the Queen of Swords, and we've got the Six of Coins, which is the Six of Pentacles, and we got the Lord of Candlesticks, who is one of my favorite heroes in these stories. It's Frederick Wentworth. Oh, be still my heart. And actually, Lady of Quills, is that Anne Elliot? I don't think so. All right, sorry, I'm not going to get lost in the semantics here. But in the past, we definitely had, the star was probably definitely more of a romantic situation. With the Six of Coins, I think that if you're a woman watching this reading, or, man, it's not gender specific, please just take it as however it resonates, however it pertains to you. I really think that with this Queen of Coins being at home, or Queen of Quills being at home, and the Lord of Candlesticks being kind of out and about, I think that you might have had a situation where you were really kind of close to someone. It was probably kind of a relationship situation, but the person wasn't really giving you a whole lot of attention. It wasn't because they were trying to ignore you. It's just they probably had a lot of responsibilities other places, and it's just really making you feel kind of ignored, or like you're not a priority. In this spread, I'm kind of getting the feeling like you're the Queen of Quills, and and you're the one that's getting the end of, the brunt of feeling, because what you see here is the typical Queen of Six of Coins is the person holding the scales and deciding which person is going to receive their money. But money or coins can be considered more fiscal things. Like, it can be someone who's actually giving you money, but it can also be someone who's giving you their time, or just giving you, what you need, right? What you kind of need. And the fact that it's the Lady of Quills is the Queen of Swords, and the Lord of Candlesticks is the King of Wands. And these two characters are actually quite compatible. If you're looking at it from an astrology point of view, you don't have to be an air sign, but it's most likely Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Either that, or you might have your Mercury really in an advanced placement in an air sign. You speak your mind, right? If somebody is not giving you your due, or if you feel like something's wrong, you're going to say something, right? And the Lady of Quills, or the Queen of Swords, usually gets a bad rap for that. She gets a reputation as being a little sharp-tongued. But I've always liked this character, because, and especially in this deck, because she's way softer. It isn't, she's intellectual, she's reading a book. So it isn't like she's giving you a tongue lashing because she wants to. It's because legitimately, how much time needs to pass before it's, before it becomes right? But basically, I get this feeling like there was a little bit of an imbalance there. I do think that if you are the Lady of Quills, you probably got upset about not being made a priority, but what you did is you said something about it, and then you turned around and used your time in another way. I think that you were kind of handling this disparity. You were handling the unequalness for a time. You were doing your own thing. You were retaining your dignity and going out and helping other people or visiting other people. But in the meantime, there really was kind of a disparity where you weren't really, your counterpart, or the person that you were, hoping to talk to, just really wasn't giving you, enough time. You can see he's almost looking away. He's looking out into the distance and, you know, preoccupied with other things. Now in the current, and this is the dark night, right? This is the night that, you know, we're wading through to, you know, we're looking at the star, right? We're looking at the stars, that we have someone crying and in a buggy leaving, right? And she's holding a book, so yet again, you know, a lot of book symbolism means something hidden or something that needs, it's like a wisdom. But I did go ahead, and the Eight of Teacups is the Eight of Cups, and it's someone leaving. It's someone walking away from something that they emotionally invested in. And again, it doesn't have to be a permanent leave. Like, you know, she might just be going for a short time. But she definitely knows that, you know, she can't stay, right? She can't stay in that situation. And I went ahead and clarified. I wanted some clarification. And we got the Two of Coins and we got the Maiden of Candlesticks. And the Two of Coins, again, is that juggling card, but you see two people dancing. It's almost like, it's like a dance. It's like a balance. It's almost like when I step this way, you step that way, right? And then you got the Maiden of Candlesticks, which is, this is from Pride and Prejudice, and it's Lydia Bennet, and she's getting all dolled up for a dance because she's a flirt and she loves going to dances. But I think what it is that I think you really felt like you wanted to get away from this back and forth. It seems like every single time you'd step to the left, they'd step to the right, and you never got any closer, right? You just never got any closer. It was like a dance. It was like you kept just hovering and hovering around each other, and you just didn't, you know, you were kind of tired of that. Now, the Maiden of Candlesticks is really kind of it's a little bit of an impulsive card. It is kind of like you going out and just kind of, it is a little bit of a juvenile, it's a little bit of a learning type of card. But it also hints at minimal effort. It's someone who is kind of just, you know, someone who is just getting dolled up and she doesn't know what's going to happen. She's just kind of, it's a little bit of a throwing it at the wall and seeing if it sticks kind of thing, right? So it's saying, it's almost as if, you know, it's almost as if this person in the current, you know, what's making you go through the dark night, what's making you wonder how this is all going to turn out. The situation is, you know, leaving a situation that seemed like it was just juggling. It was not getting off the ground. It was not getting past a fledgling stage. It just stayed in that, you know, spark kind of phase, and it was, again, I just see that circle. I see that circle of you go left, I go left, I go right. You know, it's almost like, you know, like this. No one is getting any closer, and it's not getting past the Page of Wands. And you can't stay at a Page of Wands. You have to eventually become a king. You eventually have to become a queen. You can't be a novice forever. And to stay in that energy is not practical, right? It's not a solution. It's not going anywhere. So you decided to go somewhere, even though it might take you away, you know, from this. You know, this is a situation, might be a situationship, and you decided to go ahead and leave that. And again, the one thing that the Eight of Cups does get a little bit of a reputation as being that, oh, you're walking away card, but it doesn't say forever. It usually shows the person going someplace to get their mind together. So if anything, you're kind of leaving in order to determine what you want to do next. It isn't that you're giving up completely, but you're giving up for now, right? Because you need to, because it's a stalemate. It doesn't seem to really, that's the other thing about the Two of Coins, is that it tends to be a choice, and it tends to be a choice that's not being made, right? Or, you know, that crossroads. But, you know, if that crossroads involves somebody, you know, who's, you know, just kind of, you know, playing it by ear and not really trying to get more, trying to advance the situation. Now, the future and where this is going is you got the Four of Quills. You got the Four of Quills, and that's from Sense and Sensibility. That's Marianne Dashwood. You know, this is her healing from, you know, the betrayal from Wickham, not Wickham, Willoughby, sorry. There's a lot of W's. There's a lot of W villains in Jane Austen. And then you got the Hermit right underneath. And what I always love is that in the traditional Rider-Waite, and I'll go ahead and pull it out for comparison real quick, I always just love the fact that the Eight of Cups, which is your middle card here, the Eight of Cups looks like someone who's walking up to the mountaintop, and it looks very much like the Hermit, like before. It looks like he's going up into the hills. So the fact that I see the Eight of Cups and then I see the Hermit after that, it really kind of looks like that's what you're doing. You're going up, you're pulling away. You're pulling away in order to collect your mind, which is what Marianne Dashwood was definitely doing. She was evaluating the situation in a very real way. She was going through the very real emotions of saying, okay, what is this? What's going to come of this? What do I need to do? And you see it here, you know, again, this is your eight of Cups, right? And then these are your Hermits. And, you know, and again, you know, doesn't it look like, you know, it looks like this person went up into the mountains, and that's where the Hermit is he's up in the mountains. And the Hermit gathers all the information about the situation. He has all the information. There's nothing else that's the beautiful thing about the Hermit, is that there's nothing else that he has to learn about the situation. He knows everything that is going on, right? He's not dumb. He knows what's going on, but it's almost like he's reflecting on all of that. He's taking his time and he's pulling within, and that's really, I'm really getting the feeling like, again, with it being the Star, I think the worst is over. I think you really do know what you need to know. Like, you know, before you walked away, you knew the truth, you know the truth. And when I was shuffling, the Lovers did come out underneath the Eight. So the Lovers can definitely mean a choice. It usually means a very strong love relationship. It does. And the other thing about this situation is that I think in this deck, I think the Lady of Quills is Anne Elliot, which is the actual counterpart to Frederick Wentworth in the story of Persuasion. So when I see the Lovers, I'm like, wow, you know, this is a very strong connection. It's not one that you really just want to up and walk away from, but you're not going to stay in limbo. You know, limbo is not anywhere you want to be. And you know, if that means really doing some reflection, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but it's also telling you, because the other thing is, what's beautiful about this is that, you know, this is the same character. Marianne is getting through the night, right? She's getting through the night, and then here she's healing, right? She's healing. So what it's telling me is that your star is telling you that whatever you're going through right now, you are going to survive it. It's going to be okay. You are going to reflect about a lot, and you do have to do a lot of healing, but it is also telling you that this star is going to come from you pulling within and really looking honestly at everything that's occurring. And it's also looking honestly at what you want. You know, what is your happiness? And if you focus on your happiness, if you focus on where, you know, your compass, the other thing is that in that, you know, in the Hermit's, you know, in the Hermit's lamp is the star, right? In the Hermit's lamp is the star. So, you know, I think what it's telling you is that, you know, you follow your compass, you follow where you're meant to go, you know, you do what you need to do, and I know that's incredibly difficult when you feel these kind of connections, but it might also be that you know, I do believe that in every relationship, it doesn't have to be just romantic. I think that there's an element of spiritual learning. I think we really do partner up in order to learn something from someone. And sometimes those relationships are just as simple as that. Once we've learned the lesson, it is okay to let go. But it is, the most important thing that I think those type of encounters teach you is that the most important thing is your growth. It doesn't mean spurn anyone, it doesn't mean hurt anyone. Of course, be karmically responsible, but you also do not need to stay in any limbo. You do not have to stay stagnant. Your growth, your star, your compass, your spiritual path is important for you. So, if it means pulling within and being real honest and real truthful about where that path is taking you, that's the stars telling you it's going to be okay. Just follow the star. Follow and go where it leads. All right, guys. Well, I knew that was going to be a very moving one, and I was so excited to get to it, just because it's been a wonderful month, but it has been, we've talked about all the heavy hitters, and this was yet another one. So, but we did a great job. It was exciting to read it, But I hope you can join me this week. I am finishing up the 31 Days of Tarot by Friday this week. And this Saturday I post the weekly energy card reading, which is just the overall energies for the next 7 days. And then starting next Tuesday, we're going to continue the How to Tarot, and the next card is the Moon. Number 18, the Moon. So I hope you can join me then, and I'll catch you later. Bye.